Welcome everybody to the A Show, episode 303. I feel like there's a good number for 303 somewhere. Maybe. I don't know. Whatever. Um Nonetheless, I am Meelz. Well, we have a very special guest, someone who's on the ground floor, someone who was, I guess, part of the entire situation at all. We have none other than the aggregate, the aggregate himself, Armon Sadler. Who you can listen to on Rewriter's Room. You can listen to Stay Busy with Armon Sadler. You can see all his articles online, or you can just watch all the tweets that show up where he's being quoted for Drew McIntyre. You're pretty much Drew McIntyre's source of information for the league.
There's no other person I would rather be a source of information for. My God, the Scottish Warrior.
Listen, man, you have been. I want to applaud you, first of all, just publicly as we get on this thing. I want to applaud you because you have been working your ass off. You have been. I mean, when you talk about putting in the work, when you talk about putting in the time and just like years, I remember years ago you texting and you're just like, I haven't really found anything yet, and it's tough out there. And then you do finally find the situation, and you're taking advantage of the entire situation, like to a T, where you're including things you're passionate about, but you're also doing your amazing writing that you do. It's incredible, man. Like I really do want to applaud you for like the things that you've done and the things that you're doing currently.
Thank you, man. It's crazy. Like every time I come on the A Show, it's like things like my third time doing like a non-WrestleMania episode. Like I just feel like it's always a checkpoint for something in my life. And yeah, as you know, the last couple weeks, months have been crazy for me, but I'm really enjoying it. Trying to really prioritize myself and my ability to sleep adequately and work out, but I'm really loving everything I've been able to do, especially this past weekend. So I appreciate the recognition, especially coming from you. And yeah, man, it's shit's great right now.
Yeah, it's a great life. Listen, you have been jet setting for quite some time between How was Rolling Loud, by the way? How was that?
Rolling Loud, man. So festivals, I'm kind of at the point where like I don't really be pressed to go, but when they offer you all expenses paid, like how can you turn that down? My ancestors
to cover it. It's not like you're expensive pay, like you're the influencer who's just like, even though that would be tight too. I think that would probably be a better situation. You're just an influencer. Yeah. But you're covering it. You're doing your job.
Yeah. And so like, the festival tickets covered, but then they put you in this nice ass hotel where Victor Cruz and Stefan Diggs and Dre are just chilling by the pool near you and giving you Wingstop gift cards and just regular gift cards and Uber vouchers. Like I really felt like they was treating me like I was somebody important. The festival itself was cool. It was great to see like Central C and Yachty and Don Tolliver. Offset set was amazing. Like, I'm always down for a live show. The concept of festivals themselves are very tiring, and you want to see everyone, but then people you like are going on at the same time. So there's a lot of people that I missed, but I was able to see enough to put together a cool best moments list for Vibe, which you all can read, vibemagazine.com. Search my name, Armon Sadler. And yeah, overall it was cool. Like I love Miami especially too, so I'm never mad at spending time out there.
Well, listen, you travel from essentially Miami. I mean, you landed in New York. You went to the Beyonce. First of all, how was that? I'm living through you vicariously because I'm too poor to do any of this stuff. It is rough for me, but I'm living vicariously with you. How was Beyonce?
Beyonce it's an experience that any music lover, any R&B pop lover, any Beyonce fan, like you need to have that. I saw her 5 years ago when her and Hov were on tour for On the Run 2. So I kind of knew going into it, but Renaissance, like that new album has really made moves throughout the world, and I really love that album. So seeing all those new songs and the attention to detail with stage design, the choreography, the vocals, those little nuances, like she snuck in Lil Uzi's Just Wanna Rock and all these snippets of other songs, like when you really appreciate the music and the effort that goes into it, it just makes it a great experience. And then sitting damn near by the stage was also pretty cool too.
No, that's wealth. That's
Yeah, nah,
that's what.
it was an anniversary gift for me and my girl, 6 years. So I was like, she loved Beyonce. Let me get her close to the stage, and it was worth it. She had a good time. I had a really good time. I think of all the shows I've been to, which is a lot, Beyonce would easily be a top five. Both times I've seen her, it's top five.
Hmm. All right. Well, she's still got some more dates. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to make any of them. Like she's passed through my town already. The hurricane of Beyonce has passed.
Yeah,
Um, so not sure I'll be able to make that one. But then, of course, you had a couple days rest, barely.
barely.
I'm sure you did some other stuff during the day. You and Manny have been going on your
Yeah,
shout out to
Drake,
Manny.
Roy Woods. I've seen Manny more than I've seen my family.
That's nuts. Shout out to Manny, who listens. Um, Now we're heading to Detroit.
Hmm.
It's SummerSlam. You're press.
Yeah,
You're officially press.
yeah.
And you've done all these great interviews with WWE superstars over the last number of months, and now you're finally kind of getting to experience the press life of WWE. So I ask you this question: like, what is it like? Considering I'll never know if we're doing at least doing this podcast. I don't know.
Man, well, first, you guys belong there. Like, I don't want to talk down on anyone, but some of the people who were there, it made me frustrated. Like, yo, the A show belongs here. J5 and Meelz would kill this press junket. You guys would
Right.
kill the press conferences, all that stuff. Like, it's absolutely the element that you should be in. And so I just want to say that and put that into the air for whether it's WrestleMania or whatever PLE. Like, the A show needs to be in the building. Um, as far as my experience, that was my first SummerSlam. It's only the second PLE I've been to. So just the excitement as a fan going to SummerSlam live was already a lot. And then WWE covering my hotel. So very thankful to Greg and WWE for looking out and treating me as well as they do. But getting there and kind of realizing like, oh shit, I'm staying in the same hotel as all of the talent, like running into Charlotte at the elevator, walking by Giovanni Vinci in the bathroom, dapping up Riddle
Mm.
as we're walking by each other. Like that was really the craziest part. Like I got there Thursday night super late and like the bar was booming. I went upstairs in my room because I wanted to do some work for Vibe so I could just go to the press junket in the morning. But like Imperium was in that bar the entire weekend. Like they were the bar
Damn.
MVPs. they were deep in that bar.
That's fire. That's
Yeah.
fucking fire. That's fire. I love
Yeah.
that. I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Um, no, that's cool, man. And of course, you're the MVP as well because you're going to be there. Right? You're if you knew they were there the entire weekend, you were there the entire weekend.
Absolutely, man. That bar was great. I got really cool with the bartenders. That they showed us a lot of love. But the concept of like the work itself was really cool too. The Friday morning was the press junket. They had Ricochet, Finn Balor, Gunther, Chad Gable, Otis, Maxine, Zoe Stark, Shayna Baszler there. I got to talk to 5 of the talent. Finn Balor's line was super long. For obvious reasons, he had a world title match and he's Finn Balor. Gunther's line was long, but I waited to talk to him. But honestly, like one of the most interesting conversations I had was with Baron Corbin. He
Mm.
had a really interesting perspective on going down to NXT and giving the fans a break from him and his villainous character because he's only been a heel his entire time and he wants to have a program with Dragunov. And so it was really cool talking to him, talking to Chad Gable and Otis and giving them their flowers for being Raw staples. That they popped when they heard that. They were like, yo, honestly, like we've been workhorses and it's cool to get that recognition. And then Maxine was super nice too. And then Gunther was funny. I told Gunther I could pin him in 3 minutes and he pretty much laughed at me.
I
Um,
as anyone would. I don't even know why you would say that. And then you also had people also in the chat that say like maybe how long would it take for me? I'm like no,
Bruh,
nobody at
yeah,
this point. Like not even no one.
that was a nuts conversation. Like I almost asked him to chop me, but then I was like, you know what? Let me not be one of these people
Nah,
trying to get themselves over. Like I don't need that.
you don't want to be that kind of press. Your vibe. It's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to be the vibe guy who got chopped by the. There, everyone's gonna be like, you know what? Maybe not the best look, but you know
Yeah,
what? I feel like there's a time and a place for everything, and I feel like your
absolutely.
Gunther chop will happen at some point or another
Yeah.
in life.
And
Um,
speaking of Vibe, that was honestly the best thing is like when I introduced myself to people and I told them Vibe magazine, people know our legacy, but they're like, yo, Vibe covers wrestling. And it's cool that, when I came in, I told my bosses, like, I really really think we should do more of this. So one of my coworkers interviewed Big E last year, but
Mm-hmm.
that was really the extent of it. And I'm like, nah, like this is something that's huge in pop culture, the Bad Bunny inclusion, like, the prominence of black wrestlers. Like this is something that we need to do. And so to see where I've been able to take it in 10 months and to get that recognition from, other people who are there who work at wrestling, primarily wrestling publications, it's like, cool. Like I'm really somewhere I feel like I belong. I'm doing great things for this magazine and kind of helping us not just, rely on our legacy, but also being tapped in with what's popping right now.
Right. This is amazing. Well, I mean, SummerSlam, we're going to talk plenty about SummerSlam because we got
Yeah.
some SummerSlam topics on this show. We're going to talk about all of that. You did amazing. Of course, we're all cheering for you as you're in the presser thing. Um,
I'm not going front, man. I was disappointed. Like I walked back to my hotel after that. I was like, bro, I was so prepared. Like, and just to kind of the mic being given to people around me, but not me, was like,
I think everyone in your row got it.
Yeah, bro. Literally everyone. I was like, damn, bro.
I was like, come on, Byron, the brother right here. Come
Yeah.
on. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, it'll come with time, man.
Absolutely.
I feel like, and this is why I continue to give you your props throughout this entire thing. Like you're ready for the moment. Like you're doing the work. Even if the moment isn't right now, when the moment does come, you'll be ready for it. And I believe it will make a statement, but you actually do it.
Absolutely.
Cody will know you on a first name basis. He's like, oh yeah, my guy Armon at Vibe. The cap that he does, of course.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been reading Vibe for at least 20 years. Like I can go back to the TLC issue back in the day where they talked about the fire. Like he's going to give that kind of cap, and you will be there nodding along,
Absolutely.
dabbing him up, and all the other stuff like that. But we're gonna get back to your excursion in Detroit.
For sure.
Soon enough, but we got to talk about the things that happened this week. I want to see how I want to format this because it's definitely news, but there's definitely questions involved with all of this thing as well. Because there's a lot that happened this week. I'm not sure if you were able to keep up with everything that happened this week based on how busy your life is this week. And I hope you get to chill, to be honest with you.
Me too.
But last bit of news. Well, the first bit of news I want to talk about was the news that actually came out the day that there's something about Wednesdays and the A show. Like we used to record on Wednesdays. That's the funny thing. We used to record on Wednesdays because SmackDown used to be on Tuesdays. So we'd like, okay, we record on Wednesday, drop on Thursday. Ever since SmackDown went to Friday, we were like, oh, we could bump it up to Tuesday. So then we could just record on Tuesday. And now every bit of fucking news comes out on Wednesday. It's like, and you know what? Sure, AEW Dynamite. I get it. Fine. But I feel like it's more than that. At this point, I feel like it's kind of personal. But last week, it was officially announced that the Elite have re-signed to AEW. Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, and Adam Page, they're back in the fold. They're down for another, I don't even know if they said how many years the actual contract is. But they're down for the cause, and they will be remaining in AEW. They said things like, "Oh, we put the Elite in All Elite Wrestling," and I'm like, "Yeah, kind of, yeah. I guess it was named after you guys." So I want to ask you the question. I want to ask you two questions. One, do you feel like this is the right decision for this group? And then two, how big of a disaster would it have been if they actually left AEW?
On a human level, in terms of wanting to spend time with your families and make
We're
the most
only
money,
human. We're only human.
True. I understand why they made the decision that they made. Cody even spoke about it in the press conference. Someone asked him, and he was like, I would have loved to work with them again, but I'm over the moon that they got paid. We put our bodies through a lot, and I was like, you know what? That's a really good take to have. Cody, the president, he's always going to have the political answer,
of course.
And I feel him. Like in terms of.
Listen, the red or the blue C4. I saw the video. I was like, listen, man, you got to cut it out. You got to cut it out. Red
I'm
or
not
blue?
going front. The red one was good. We tried it at the little 2K activation. The red one was pretty good. I'm not going front to you. Right. But as far as the Elite go, I get it. I would have liked to see what they could have done in WWE. Obviously, they would have been presented incredibly based on what we've seen with Cody and what they do with their own talent. So I get it. I obviously, there's the whole running from the grind thing, which is which like you can't not, point that out, especially if you're someone who has seen several other wrestlers run from the grind that you knew could have done big things.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of, making the most money, spending the most time with their families, like I get it. I don't I wouldn't say I'm a fan of any of them, but like I definitely would have liked to see them come over. And to answer your second question, had they come over, I don't know what AEW would have done right now. Like they already struggle to build stars as is, and they have the elite to fall back on with everything. And
Mm-hmm.
so losing that, and they're the Dynamite guys, they don't really come to Collision. So losing that, Dynamite would have been in hell. CM Punk, it would have really truly become CM Punk's company. He probably would have showed up on Dynamite the very next week and been like, yeah, like now I run this too. And
That would have been sick.
it
I've never thought
honestly,
of that.
it honestly would have been funny as hell. But I'm sure Tony Khan is like very, very happy. Because I think everyone in that company, based on what we've seen with the women and in general, looking at what Cody is doing, how do you not look at that and be like, damn, bro, like
Mm.
the grass is greener on the other side.
I mean, I feel like, all right, so my situation and kind of like my questions about these things. Is this the right decision for the group? I feel like if I were them in this situation, it really kind of depends on where they kind of like how their footing is. And their footing in AEW is high. It just
Mhm.
is what it is. They're the EVPs. They're at the top of the card. They're making the most money and making the most money to work 1 day a week, even though there's about, there's 2 days a week of shows and then the third day, possibly, if you have a pay per view. It's pretty sweet. And they're making millions of dollars. They're making top dollar in AEW. So I get it. Like, I get staying because I can't even front in that situation. There's a TikTok because it was Gilbert Arenas' show, and they were debating: would you rather take the ring or would you rather take the money?
Mm.
Like, would you rather have a chance to be immortalized as an NBA champion, or would you rather have a max contract? And I feel like that's kind of like this situation. Not to say that like you get in the ring, but if they go to WWE, I don't know about Adam Page. There's only so much you can do with a cowboy. I mean, it is what it is. I've seen cowboys come through WWE. I haven't seen anyone that's been super successful. But
Yeah.
I
Sorry,
think
Jimmy
with
Wang Yang.
yeah, sorry, you know what I'm saying. But I do think with the Bucks and I do think with Kenny Omega, I do think that there was an opportunity. It's like, okay, you're going to get the ring. Like, you'll have the opportunity. It'll kind of be like Cody is, but probably not as, because Cody know how to move, so it's a little
Yeah.
bit different with Cody. But you're definitely going to have the opportunity to be one of the biggest stars ever. So it's the ring, but they took the max contract. And to be honest with you, I'm not mad at them because it's money for doing the least. Like,
Hmm.
it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now if they did go to WWE, first of all, AEW would have to, and this is kind of like the problem that they had, right? They would have to kind of be able to, they would have to immediately say like, okay, we got to get some guys. And we're probably going to have to double down on Punk, who's older than everybody in the elite. So
Hmm.
now you're asking a lot from this incredibly, I don't want to say incredibly old. Incredibly old is wild disrespectful, but he's definitely older.
Hmm.
You're asking a lot from him in terms of his star power. You're asking a lot from MJF, and then you have no other stars to kind of like build it around. So I think it would have been a major disaster, especially with how they did Cody. Like,
Yeah.
seeing Cody from AEW to WWE and seeing the star that Cody is, weeks after him having his own documentary that is like apparently one of the biggest documentaries of 2023 for WWE. Um, and seeing him have that, and seeing him sip off C4, and seeing him main event WrestleMania off rip, um, seeing him have that kind of star, it's like, I'm sure there was definitely like, I feel like I could do that.
Hmm.
But I honestly think I don't know about it for the Bucks. The Bucks have their share of injuries, but I really do feel like with Kenny Omega, this kind of probably is it. Like this was the opportunity. Justin and I talked about this in 2019. Kind of like, does he go now and he solidify his career, or does he go with AEW and immediately the company is established kind of around you? And he chose AEW at the time, but we all knew the contract would come up. But I mean, this second contract, they're only giving out 4 or 5 year deals at this point. So I would imagine there's no chance he gets into WWE and it's kind of like anything really positioned around him. I can't imagine it. I
Yeah.
think he's going to be an AEW lifer at this point. And to be honest with you, with Kenny Omega with the Bucks, if you're going to stay another 4 or 5 years in AEW, that comes with a lot of, to me, one thing I'm demanding from them, or at least hoping them, is kind of like reinvention. Because I don't know how much you can kind of like trot out the same thing over and over again. And we're seeing kind of like at the end of SummerSlam and kind of seeing how that kind of like shaken out. Um, they're gonna have to switch some things up, but listen, um, the elite AEW is they still elite.
Mm-hmm.
Um, another thing that kind of dropped. Well, I'm trying to. Is this big situation? It's also AEW related. I'm trying to see if I want to save that for now or later. Um, actually, you know what? We'll get back to that. Big E gives a status on his health. You were there, right?
I was, yes, yes, sir.
Yeah, you were there. Practically broke the news yourself. Um, Biggie gives a status on his health, examining his future. Doctors have told him it's not an A show without someone beeping in the background. Doctors have told him not to wrestle again. He's not sure his decision. He says he wants to live a long life. How did Big E kind of like look? And do you feel like, would you be okay with Big E retiring from the WWE ring?
He definitely looks like it's something that he's been thinking about, something that he may even be conflicted about. And I get it. I mean, it was a very serious injury. He's definitely not a super young guy. He's accomplished a lot. I think I it's tough, man, because I really enjoy Big E. I selfishly, as a fan, of course, I would love to see him come back. Imagined what that return pop would be like. I've imagined him having another world title reign, or even being the guy to beat Gunther. But just being an older fan, being aware of what these people deal with, like I think that I would be okay with it, and I would have to be okay with it if that's a decision that he's made.
Mm-hmm.
Because your health isn't something that you can play around with. You want to be able to move around and spend time with your family and not be confined to a wheelchair or whatever the case may be if something serious were to happen. So it's definitely tough. I really felt like while he's been successful, these last couple years have really been like his big breakthrough as a singles guy, and I could have seen, so I've envisioned so much more for him. And it's just tough that, if this is really the end, like it ended the way that it did. So yeah, I mean, it's something that I would have to be okay with, but yeah, it'll probably be a really tough adjustment. Then I think about Kofi and Xavier as well. Like we've seen without him there, like they've kind of
Mm-hmm.
just been floating. And they've dealt with their own injuries too. So just thinking about how tough it will be for them and where New Day would be positioned, and they've also done it all already as well. The only thing
Yeah.
people really want is an Xavier singles title run.
Right.
So yeah, it's tough all around.
I think it's definitely like I kind of do want to selfishly see him back in the ring. But I also feel like I feel like the year of normalcy that he's had, he's kind of experienced like, okay, I'm not a wrestler. So what kind of like am I? And that's always the thing with wrestlers. It's like, what am I outside of the ring? Like, who am I?
Yeah,
Because you spend all your years trying to make it to this point. You spend all your life maintaining to continue to succeed at this point. And then when it's all over, you kind of had to figure out like where you're kind of at, who you kind of are in this situation and what you really want to do with your life. And I think that's the crossroads that Big E's at. And I think it's a crossroads that a lot of wrestlers eventually experience, and he's experiencing right now. I will say this. just judging, my favorite wrestler had to retire because of a neck injury, and then he came back. And then apparently Paige did it as well. But
Allegedly.
allegedly, but I think he's someone who's like my entire life isn't defined by wrestling, and he's done everything that he can, and he succeeded at the highest level, and he may say like, you know what, maybe there's a bigger purpose for me than in the ring. So I could definitely see Big E not coming back to things. So we'll see about that. We have a guest here. Is this a guest on the A show? Do we have one here?
No, it's not a guest.
No? Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Hey, man.
Hey,
How are you?
ate an acai bowl. I'm feeling good.
I do love a
what
good acai bowl.
what flavor? Do you mind me asking?
It was an island bowl.
I don't know what that means. Coconuts and pineapples, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So that seems islandy. We just finished wrapping up talking about the Elite. We just finished wrapping up talking about Big E. Do you kind of have any thoughts on those two topics before we transition to the big female elephant in the female elephant is kind of crazy now that I said that. I want to transition to the big topic in the room. Do you have any thoughts on those two things, J5?
I feel the Elite did what was safest for them. I wouldn't expect them to come to the WWE at this point. I think it's pretty much a dead proposition for them. I just don't see it anymore. Not like I used to. As far as Big E, I saw a lot of people getting mad about the commentary thing. Like, what does he have left to give if he can't wrestle? Like, if they want to put him in commentary, ain't nothing wrong with that. So,
Yeah, I could see that, or I could see him in a Titus type role, being just a global ambassador. Like he's kind of been doing that. He's been active a lot this year, like while not in ring, just going to events, spending time with the kids, talking to people, and I think that's perfect for him. So I think once fans get beyond their selfish desires, like you can kind of see, like he's still doing his thing, and he's still associated with the company.
Yo, have you met Titus? Like, how did you see Titus through the entire thing?
I spoke with Titus. We took a picture together. I actually, in the press conference, everyone kind of was asking him questions, and my question was the final one. Him being a brother of Omega Sci-Fi, and there being a brother of Omega Sci-Fi who was at the tryouts. I was like, yo, obviously you've been a proud brother. You've shown it in the ring, doing your taunt, and there were guys at the tryouts. Like, how are you gonna feel when a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha comes in and wipes the floor with all of you? And he was like, oh, that's not gonna happen. But I do love seeing the Divine Nine presence in WWE, and I would love to be a resource with everyone. So he kind of flipped it into a positive thing, but I just wanted to poke fun at him. But yeah, he was super nice, super cool.
Oh, okay. That's cool. That's cool. Listen, it could be anything. I could see Biggie in that role too. I think he does a lot for the community, and I think he's very like he's someone who's educated. You kind of want them speaking on behalf. You kind of want him being the person who kind of represents your company in that kind of aspect. So I could see it in kind of all. He's talented no matter what he does. Like he's got the gift of gab. He'll figure it out.
Absolutely.
Let's head to the topic in the room. The big topic in the room. And that is the AEW women's division. Because it has been a couple of weeks of questionable things. So I don't want to say like nothing has been able to be questioned. Definitely questionable things. And just a lot of divisive conversations surrounding the AEW women division. I kind of want to get everyone's POV on this kind of thing. Last week, an independent wrestler named LuFisto. Actually, I don't know if it's LuFisto.
it's LuFisto.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, wait, she's French Canadian. Is it something else? Like, I'm but LuFisto came out. She made a tweet kind of like about AEW and kind of like her experience. Then had an interview with Fightful to kind of expound on that, and she gave quite a lengthy interview. I will say all that she gave because I feel like the general consensus, and especially with the way the AEW locker room is treating it, like she's some internet jobber who just kind of like has no idea what the fuck she's talking about. um,
I do
I
find
will say,
I find it weird that Fightful did the interview with her and not Swole.
Mm. Talk about it.
We will talk about that. But it's definitely worth talking about. But I do feel like she's recanting her experience with this entire thing. And then also, I mean, I feel like, just to kind of talk about the Swole thing, I feel like Swole, I low-key feel like she doesn't really want to talk about it. And especially in the way that LuFisto talked about it.
But she did, remember when she did a podcast when we found out about those comments though.
Right. She did that thing, but I also feel like she didn't. I feel like she always prefaced it by saying like AEW, I had a great experience there and great experience working with Tony Khan, even though he shitted on her in a tweet, and the tweet is still fucking up. That's the worst part about it. But kind of like going to the LuFisto thing, she talked quite candidly about it. It was about a 40-minute interview. I sat through all of it. Kind of recanting her experience. She doesn't really give name. I mean, she gave some names because people who were involved in the match. But she doesn't really give a lot of names. She just kind of like talks about her experience there, and it was not a favorable experience. So the question we kind of have, actually I have a couple of questions, but the questions that we kind of want to start off this is that, do we believe that there's, considering whether you listen to LuFisto or you see all the tweets that came out around between the minutes of 4:50 p.m. Eastern and about 5:23 p.m. Eastern, do we believe that there's division in the AEW women's locker room? I want to go to you, J5, first.
I think there's two ways to think of it. I think there's two sides of the story, and the truth's in the middle here, right? Like with everything. I think that on the AEW women's side, to start there, I do think that there is something to the aspect that this is an outsider coming in to their locker room and they don't necessarily know her, and she's talking shit about them, and they want to defend it as much as possible. It's kind of like what's the when you're the hostage and you what's that shit called?
Stockholm syndrome.
Stockholm syndrome, right? Where it's like, yeah, I'm treated like shit here, but no, these are the people that talk shit about me. These are my shit take. You know what I'm saying? Shit talkers. Not like, that's how they feel about it. So like, I believe LuFisto, because here's my thing is that like I think that a lot of people started calling her all her name after it happened, and I think that's pretty disgusting because like even if this is a bad person, that does not invalidate that person's experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, regardless,
that's kind of where I'm at too. Yeah,
like even if she is a bad person, that doesn't mean that she's a liar automatically. We've seen how this place is. She is just merely confirming what multiple people have said and what we've seen in the past 4 years. That's why I said when this happened, nothing is going to change here, because they're just going to do the same shell defense they always do, where they all come out, do those tweets, and then they're going to move on, and they're going to get 5 minutes at 9:20 the next week, and they're going to say, "See that? We did it." You know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole thing. Is like there's no comparison with that locker room versus any other company's locker room. It just is what it is. You can pull your stopwatches out all you want. There's actual stars in other companies. AEW has not created a bankable star on their TV, and LuFisto basically showed us why, because they won't allow themselves to.
What say you about this, Aggregate?
That's funny. Yeah, man, honestly, I'm not surprised by it. It's things that we've all kind of surmised from what we see based off of the booking. You can just look at the booking and tell who is favored, who is in control. And so when things come out about this, it's kind of like, all right, like I'm really not surprised. And I'm glad someone is stepping out and saying it, because I'm sure there's that mentality where someone who's maybe not towards the top of the women's division feels like, yo, if I speak out, this is going to keep me from an opportunity, something like that. So I'm really not surprised by it. Similar to J5, I don't believe in invalidating anyone's experiences. Like what you see, what you observe, what you feel is completely valid. Like, that doesn't mean maybe you didn't contribute in any way, but I think back to, you know, that All Access show where the first episode Britt Baker is shitting on Thunder Rosa. Like, that's not something that just happens in a vacuum. Like, that's something that's very telling. You know, we don't see that anywhere. And that company as a whole, man, like, I've been saying it since 2021 when I didn't really watch the show. I'm like, every time I want to give AEW a chance, some bullshit comes out that's like, why would I watch this? Like, and something like this coming out just further confirms that, you know? So yeah, I'm with LuFisto. I completely believe her. I think that everyone coming out to kind of diminish what she said, devalue what she said, especially MJF tweeting, like, that was just some bullshit to me. That was honestly extremely gross. Like, there's something Offset said, men stay out of women's business, and that's I really stand by that. So yeah, I really thought it was gross. Like, I definitely kept up while I was busy throughout the weekend, and I really wasn't surprised. Like, well, what is it? Disappointed but not surprised. That's really how I felt.
Yeah, this entire situation. I mean, I think I don't think we should invalidate LuFisto's experience that she went through and immediately that's where I kind of look at the MJF tweet, which to me is like the worst kind of tweet. Because one, it reeks a little bit of like entitlement, because I feel like not necessarily he should be grateful. You work hard, but like, you're in this opportunity. You know what you're in this position currently. Like, nothing is guaranteed, and there are hundreds of thousands of wrestlers who wrestle and never make it to the top of the company, never make it to the place. And one, you're a white man.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're just in general, you're by odds, you're going to make it further than a woman. You're just odds. I feel like it reeked of like, in terms of wanting to defend his company, it reeked of like putting, you know, people down for not being in the position that he is, or not being in the position these other women are. I don't think
Okay.
LuFisto was at any point jealous of where they were kind of at. She wanted to be a part of that. She said, okay, I want to impart my own knowledge on this if I can. She has 20 years in the business. She's been wrestling way longer before MJF was.
Yeah.
But I feel like to invalidate a lot of the things that she says, by saying that she's never made it anywhere, is like completely disgusting. You had something,
Yeah,
Justin?
also, just stay out of women's business. We didn't need you to say anything. Daniel Bryan didn't say anything. Adam Cole didn't say anything. Stay out of women's business. Like, who gives a fuck what you think? Like, you don't got to be the paragon of like everything, bro. Like, just stay out of that shit. I'm pretty sure Britt Baker got this. She can handle this, bro. Trust me. She's online more than everybody. Like, there was no reason for him to say anything about that. I just think that, like you said, it just reeks of not only privilege, but I think that made it look even more like a stunt. I think MJF saying something made it look even more like it was a text that was sent out, and it was like, if you want to do it, you can do it. If you don't want to do it, don't say anything. And he said something just to stand up and be like, oh, I want to be a locker room leader.
And
That's
I'm
what
glad everyone saw it. I'm glad everyone saw through it. Sorry to cut you off. I'm glad everyone saw through it.
Yeah. I know some fake camaraderie when I see it, and that shit was some doctored, scripted camaraderie. Like, y'all ain't really fuck with each other like that.
It reminded me when Lil Wayne said "fuck Pusha T" and everybody that love him, and then everybody came out from Good Music and said, "I love Pusha T," or like, remember Kick started it? I love Pusha T.
Pusha
as
T
well.
let me borrow some of his bars. Pusha T let me borrow his Bape jacket that one time. Pusha T put my kid through college. You know what I'm saying? Like, to me, I was like, none of this is necessary. Because to be honest with you, she's just saying her experience. None of this was necessary. I don't feel like they felt like. I don't see what threat that 800 other women who had nothing to do with this felt that they needed to. Nyla Rose? I was like, no, who? What? Like,
brother,
I was like,
hit dog gonna holler. Always.
She's Kane. She's literally Kane on that show. Like, she just gets the first defense for weeks.
And I'm just like, I mean, there's whether it's right or wrong, I think there's a bigger problem that has, and that's why I made that tweet over the Ruby thing. I was like, yo, y'all could corral together to come up with group tweets, but y'all can corral together to get a second match on Dynamite? Like, y'all can't corral together, like, to see, and it was very telling. I mean, some people just, stay out their business. And I feel, and to be honest with you, a lot of them are on the low card. A lot of them are not featured on TV every week. Was the one who just kept to themselves and mind their fucking business, to be honest with you. Because I know they probably have experienced what LuFisto is experiencing some sort of aspect. But realistically, you look at a division that is currently dead. It is been plagued by injuries. It's been plagued by bad creative. And currently there is no creative because of those injuries. So that means Tony Khan, not only did he have one plan, he only had one plan. And now that plan didn't work out, now the entire division resets. Hikaru Shida is an amazing wrestler. But the mere fact that the title just gets yanked off Tony Storm with no build, no rhyme, no reason, no nothing, to me is nuts. The mere fact that they're not arguing for more opportunities. There was a sign last week that says book the women better. And then, again, Dr. Britt Baker had something to say about it. It was like, oh, I feel like, I'm glad when they're in person to support the people. But when I get online, people are so critical of like all these other things. But this is the internet. This is the community that you guys have fostered and kind of like created in a sense. Not that you're necessarily owed all of the bad talk that comes with it. But I do definitely feel like the discourse is kind of like how you guys move around in business. The Britt Baker Thunder Rosa thing that everyone brings up that she wants to now dispute. This is something that played out on an actual television show. This is something that was confirmed by writers like Sean Ross Sapp and things like in the Wrestling Observer newsletter that they had issues backstage and all this other stuff. This is something that was even publicized to an extent. Justin and I talking about it on the show over like, yo, what are the problems going on with these things? And then it plays out on AEW All Access. Like, this is the kind of things that you guys want to promote with the women's division, as opposed to being like, yo, let's get these bomb-ass storylines with these bomb-ass wrestlers to do these things. And it's the reason why WWE, it's the reason why I looked at the thing. WWE had an embarrassment of riches this weekend. Everyone complained about Rhea Ripley not being on the card, about Becky and Trish Stratus not being on the card and stuff like that. And they complained about that. I was like, look at AEW. You just watch nothing happen. You just watch literally someone just take a championship off of somebody for no reason. You watch and what does that build up with the Britt Baker thing that's been happening over the last number of weeks? Is it that Britt Baker is going to eventually take the championship off of Hikaru Shida? Most likely.
Oh, she's being booked very strong lately.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, there's bigger problems with the representation of women in AEW than worrying about what LuFisto said that was generally her experience. And that's, I think, what LuFisto was trying to tell everyone about. I said, this company has bigger problems than just what you guys see on TV. Like, backstage, the environment is toxic. Or at least it was in her vantage point. Everyone's going to come out, oh, it's fucking amazing. Like, we've heard differently. Sorry to break it to you. You know what I'm saying? And you guys have publicized it differently. Or you guys use this gang up tactic, all you guys with whoever various husbands and all this other shit that, are on the roster and stuff like that.
It's crazy. I think that, even if you were to look past all of the stuff that LuFisto said, it's not anything that we haven't been saying for months already. It's just a
years, bro.
Years. Like it's what we already knew to happen. I think a lot of it is like, honestly, I laughed at it because I was like, this is indicative of a lot of things that I've heard. It's indicative of a lot of things that we've seen. It's indicative of a lot of things that are it's just what it is. I don't think this culture is going to change. You know why? Because they just re-signed 4 people, whatever, that are the reason why you can't spend more time on the talent there. You know what I'm saying? Like you just re-sign those people. You know what I mean? And that just is what it is. This company's not going to change anytime soon. It just isn't.
The AEW women's division. Wembley's right there. Ain't shit going on but the news. Like, and to be honest, that's a. Go ahead.
said. You see what Soraya said? He said, well, Tony won. He won Booker of the Year 3 times. I'm sure he's got a plan. I'm like
She's over it. She's like, yeah, I should just stayed on the damn shelf if I wanted to stay on the shelf. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think, yeah, there's a lot going on with the AEW's women's division.
No, there isn't a nothing going on with AEW.
Well, yeah.
Not on TV, at least.
Yeah, all of the happenings are happening backstage, and
Yeah.
that's just literally what it is. And I think that there was a lot of whataboutism, but like and they were still trying to do it this weekend over the Becky Trish Rhea thing. And I think that even if you look at this Monday on Raw, it's like, well, whoa, that was much ado about nothing. Like literally, like there was. It just is what it just was what it was. And when we get to SummerSlam, we'll be able to talk about that. But like, it just was what it was. This is a WWE feels like a company right now that has something going on everywhere. Whereas you can watch the TV and there will be TV programs. There are literally TV programs now that you can look at, that like storylines, I mean, that you can look at and be like, oh, this is going to continue next Monday. There's things that happen to be bigger matches that happen on pay-per-views. That's not happening here in AEW. Like, things are not building to anything. Like, I'm actually having really very few complaints. I have a few complaints, but very few complaints about how WWE is presenting storylines now. But I think at the top of the card, I think they're doing this better than anybody right now. And I just don't see how anyone could think that they don't have a plan for something coming up.
Bro, when Triple H said in that press conference, I don't want to jump ahead, but when he said you want to have enough to have a 10-match card, but then leave things off for the weekly TV, and it's something that you just know that they do, but for him to say it that way, it was just like, bro, this should be a like euphoria moment for not euphoria, like an epiphany for everyone, where it's like, duh, of course you want to leave a main event for Raw in 2 weeks. Like, it should really be that obvious, but people kind of just think short term.
They don't get it.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, everyone wants their favorite wrestler on the biggest show. Leave it up to the wrestlers to kind of like figure that out. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we're fans. We want the best for them. I get it. But ultimately, this is kind of like how the business works. And I think they know more than anyone how this business works. And it's not always guaranteed. It's an 8-match card. SummerSlam, we can get into SummerSlam right now. Can talk about I know we have on the news about the commentary shakeup. I think we can get to that a little bit after SummerSlam, because I kind of do want to get into Raw, because I think Raw was kind of fire. But SummerSlam, Armon, you were there.
Yes, sir.
Listen, how was the energy for SummerSlam? How was everything in Detroit for SummerSlam?
So, again, probably some of the things that I say, you two who have been to more shows than me, more PLEs than me, will probably be like, well, yeah, that's how it is. But for me, seeing it was crazy. Like, people were lined up outside Ford Field at 3:30. I don't think doors open until like 5. I was with like Tyrell. Shout out to Tyrell. Shout out to Ant from Mid Carter. Shout out to AJ. Shout out to Tyrell's girl Wit, Cornell, like all the gang out to link with, X Tim, like, we all linked up, we were chilling, we were at the 2K event, and then we all lined up, and we was in a long ass line. Now, me personally, not to flex, but like, I don't really wait in lines these days no more. So I went to the
all right.
I went to the media entrance, which had a line itself. Man, I was there
so
early.
long. It's so long, losers. Go off.
But yeah, like, just the energy, like, bro. If you was out there, it was just a bunch of yeahs, like a lot of LA Night yeahs. Like, everyone was just, the energy was incredible. Like, I tweeted it. I was like, yo, I've been to NBA, NFL, MLB games. Wrestling events and the community that you feel with people you've never met, it's just different. Like, it's just extremely different. Like, everyone is nice, everyone's excited, everyone's talking about the match card, everyone is just, because they know what's about to come. They know, especially these last 2 years, what WWE is going to deliver. So I don't know if we're going to like run through the card, but like the show starting and Ricochet getting the pop that he did, that was like a very telling moment for me, like, especially opening the show with him and Logan, like, because we talked about the match a lot. It was definitely an attraction match with Logan, but it definitely wasn't the more marquee matches for the show. But seeing Ricochet get that type of reaction was really dope for me to see, and knowing, you know, just how hard he's worked over the years, not really being put in this big spotlight ever since the Brock match a couple years ago. So that was something that I immediately noticed. Like, people were really, really fucking with Ricochet.
Absolutely, man. It's a well, you know what? Shout out to him. That's all I'll say about that. We have a couple questions. We have a couple big points going into SummerSlam. I want to talk about one of the biggest matches on the card, possibly one of the biggest matches of the year. The third iteration. It is Cody Brock 3. Is this a match of the year contender? Before we get to you, Armon, I want to go to J5. J5, please talk about this match. Talk about what it meant. Talk about any kind of feelings about this.
As you already know, I am a avid watcher of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes, just to build, just not only to build, but to kind of understand where they made that decision. Because I think that on one end, I feel like this is probably the most important decision that they made, that people kind of misunderstand and misrepresent daily, at least online, in terms of just like why they did that. And I remember saying on the show a couple months ago, like, when they did the Brock thing, I said, this is the natural progression of, he can't go back down. He has to stay at that level. So you have to do the Brock thing. And I know that a lot of people had a lot of mixed opinions about the first two Brock matches. I really liked the first one. The second one was fine. And I think that the third one, being a kind of a respect match, more than a grudge match, it was kind of like more about, hey, how can we do this to a manner where Brock seems to look like the beast, but also is someone who's like, yo, like, you're out of my level, like, leave it alone, and Cody become a great baby face. The story that they told, I was getting worried with the time, the count out stuff, the count out stuff, and I'm like, okay, the crowd's like, what's gonna happen here? Because they were silent like the Cena match when Brock did what he did to Cena at SummerSlam a couple years ago, or not a long time ago,
2014.
So,
yeah.
When he gets back in the ring and they pop and then he starts fighting back, I said, they got him. I said, he's never, ever going to be, you know how AEW was kind of like 50-50, then it was 75-35. You know what I'm saying? Like, he'll never have that reaction ever again. I shudder to think that they'll probably never make Cody Rhodes a heel because of that moment, because he's someone that people believe in. And he's somebody that, like, he is now a character that is like the biggest baby face and the biggest person that can overcome the odds because of this Brock Lesnar program, because people didn't think he could do it. Right. So he gets in, the story is told. And I think that this is just the like, who fucking produced this? Was it Jason Jordan? Who did this? It wasn't Michael Hayes.
No, it wasn't. Michael Hayes and Jason Jordan did that long ass main event. It was fuck, who was it? It had to be one of them old guys. I don't know. I never keep up with who produced this shit.
It was Michael Hayes.
It was Michael Hayes. There you go. I said this? I fucking said this like a month ago. If you don't got this guy on your team, you're not going to be able to pull this shit off. And I think that in terms of just the way this match was constructed, the drama, the actual athleticism, that top rope Cody cutter was fucking mental. And the way Brock sold it was fucking mental. These are the two best sellers in the game to me right now too. I just thought that the match to me is definitely in my top 3 right now, just because of the way they told this story. And I was like, yo, this is why we love this shit. Like, there's no way. I'm sorry, like, there's no fucking way you can hate on this guy anymore after that shit. Then the fucking end. Come on, man.
Bro, I put it in the Discord. I legitimately almost shed a tear seeing Brock hug that nigga. We've never seen Brock do that. Like, he is the guy who, when I got into wrestling, he was my favorite guy. And to see him still out here doing his thing was great. But to see him give that respect to someone who went from undesirable to undeniable. Cody is undeniable right now. Like, the first match, you know, he got him with the Kimura. He pinned him while being, you know, in a submission. But this match was a definitive victory for him. It told that babyface story of coming from under, and it was art. It was truly art. It was a masterpiece.
And I also liked it. I mean, that's kind of like the general gist of kind of what it was. A great match. It was fantastic. Match of the year candidate, I believe so. It's probably one of the best matches on this card. There were so many things that kind of like went on. To me, SummerSlam, peaks and valleys. And, peaks, I want to do this Cody Brock thing. We asked him the question now, did Logan Paul and Ricochet deliver? And kind of like, I think the match did deliver, but I'm not sure what it means for Ricochet after this. Like, I mean, he's on the poster to Raw, so that's always cool.
I mean, Ricochet, I think that he did what he was supposed to do in that position. Like we said, when you do those celebrity matches, that shows that there's a lot of trust in you. I think that Ricochet had an advantage because he had somebody he was going against that was game to do all of that stuff. There was some really crazy stuff they did, but not like too like out of this world crazy, but just the athleticism was just out of this world. I think it's interesting looking at Logan Paul because it looks like he's doing this stuff like really clumsily, but it's actually being performed like, like I think there's some type of art in the fact that he doesn't look professional doing it, if that makes sense. Like he looks like a regular guy doing it, but it looks good. It's like weird.
Right, I can definitely see that. I mean, he still has some sort of like the instincts I think aren't fully there like all the time. Like for instance, I would say even though the spot was crazy, that neck breaker off the top, I feel like it came off a little weird. But still, amazing spot. Like who takes that? Like who does that? You know what I'm saying? Like I think Logan Paul and Ricochet delivered. Considering how things went on the following night for Ricochet, it looks like they're going to continue to feature him, in big spots and big moments on the show. Logan Paul, not sure that when he's going to return, but I'm sure when he returns, he'll be due. I think he's due for a world title shot, to be honest with you.
Absolutely.
I think, that match with Roman, if that didn't do it, another encounter with Seth, I think that's a built-in story that you got there. And when I talk about valleys for the night, this MMA match between Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler.
Can we preface this?
Let's preface this. Go ahead.
I think that it is unfair for anyone to say that because y'all did this match, y'all should have just gave this to Becky and Trish. Let's preface. No.
There's a number of reasons why that's not going to happen.
Yeah, let's just keep that to what it is. Like, no, that wasn't going to happen. I mean, I think that people have already seen or kind of been privy to the fact that Ronda was pretty much just out. Like she was like her time was up, and they needed to get her out of there. And that just is what it is. You're not writing Ronda off on fucking Raw. You know what I mean? So that had to stay where it was. Now, in terms of the execution of the MMA match, I believe one of my biggest questions last week was, how are they going to do this and it's not in an octagon? Mm-hmm. And when I saw the ropes was still in the ring, I said, yeah, this is going to go well.
Yeah. Great, a choreographed MMA match. But no, I mean, to be honest with you, if you look after the match, it looked like it was a fight of the century. You know what I'm saying? If you look after the match, you look at Shayna Baszler, she didn't have that much eyebrows anyway, but like she done slapped the eyebrow right off her damn face. Like she looked like she went through hell in that match, and she did. I'm sure Ronda gave it to her. He's like, you're gonna earn this rub that I'm giving you for sure. But overall, the match, yeah, it didn't. Very rarely do matches with non-wrestling rules kind of like work in that kind of thing. And I look towards it takes a little while to work. I look towards what the hell they had on NXT with the timer and the dudes in the cage and all this other shit.
What was it, the Iron Man Survivor or something?
Yeah. Like things like that, like things outside the normal scope of like this person fights, they pin, the submission count out, like all those kind of other things. You really have to like kind of like lean people into now. While people know what MMA is, MMA in the confines of a wrestling match.
That wasn't an MMA crowd. I think that was just the issue. Like it wasn't an MMA crowd. It was legitimately a lot of people that really wanted to just watch wrestling. And I think that if you weren't going to do Fight Pit, I mean, on a card that had really no stipulations at all on it, you know what I mean? You really could have did it, But then again, you kind of run into the issue of like, if you do the fight pitch, you got to take the cage down, put the cage back up. I completely understand.
And it didn't have rounds. It didn't have rounds neither. So they just aimlessly beamed the shit out of each other for 5 minutes.
Exactly. And that was my other thing. Like, why are y'all actually hitting each other? Like, that makes no sense. Just have a regular match. They were legitimately like laying it in on each other. And I was like, y'all don't need to do this. Like, this you could just have had a regular match. Like, I really feel like this was no other creative made this but Ronda. I think this is how she wanted to go out, and she wanted it to be a big thing with Shayna submitting her. And you know, they got that over. I think Shayna came out looking better. I just think that was like 8 minutes that felt like 800. Like, it just felt like so fucking long.
Yeah, I'm not going to front. I didn't get to watch it live because I was going to get Cornell to bring him to the suite. So I watched it after, and I was like, yeah. And honestly, I expected it to be the cooldown match anyways. But I still expected it to kind of be more exciting than it was. And yeah, watching it back on Peacock, even with the commentary, I was like, this just, it didn't really hit where I guess we thought it would hit or it should hit.
You're the problem with women's wrestling, Armon.
I am. Yeah, I'm trash.
But speaking about women wrestling that actually banged, a triple threat match for the WWE Women's Championship. You had 2 new champions in one night. Bianca Belair, Asuka, Charlotte. I thought this match, in my opinion, who produced this match? Since everyone was on, it was TJ.
TJ,
yeah. I felt like this match had too many moving parts for these 3 women. Because I felt like you always needed to be in a certain place at a certain time, and they were always waiting for something to kind of like happen. I never felt like it flowed with the psychology.
You know who they was waiting for? You know who they was waiting for? Charlotte.
Yes. I mean, more oftentimes than not, yes. So I felt like it was a lot of like moving around, positioning themselves. That's why I kind of like felt more than the actual psychology of like a triple threat match. Like, how the fuck am I going to actually win this shit? I should take out one of these people and then I can improve my chances greatly. But all 3 women did an amazing job. By the end, that 450, while Charlotte had the figure 8 on Asuka, is just a moment. Bianca Belair just knows SummerSlam and just knows how to have a moment at SummerSlam. Did you guys legitimately think that she was injured? I mean, no. I want people to... Okay, great.
me and Cornell were up there trying to figure it out. He was like, "Yo, let's look and see if real doctors come out." He was like, "Nah, she's working." And even like the dramatics of her walking up the ramp, falling a bunch of times.
She was like, hitting it. She was hitting the heel toe at the edge of the ramp. They didn't even bring no type of doctor out. They didn't throw the X up, so that should have let you know too.
Everyone was like, "Damn, she was howling like she was really hurt." I'm like, she's
also, they continued the match and had like spots. They had like spots that they were doing for that moment. So like, no, but I was like, I literally asked in the chat. I was like, why is what? I was like, they really gonna do a Bianca Funk segment here? Like, they did everything they could to make Bianca look strong. I think that was the strongest they've ever made anyone look before a cash-in before, because she looked so strong that I forgot the cash-in was gonna probably happen. You know what I'm saying?
She was in a figure 4, and then she rolled up Asuka for the win.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's nuts to kind of really think about. She pinned the champion to win the match.
It was a genuine shock, and like you said, we'd been predicting the cash-in would happen, but I did not think Bianca was going to be the one to win and get cashed in on. So it was like, holy shit! Like, wow! Like, what the fuck?
Absolutely. Then Io Sky's music hits. It's a everyone's looking around, everyone's crazy. Have you ever seen, Armon, have you ever seen a Money in the Bank cash-in live?
First time seeing a cash-in live, man. Wow.
I feel like that's such a pure moment. Have you ever done it? Because I know for sure I haven't.
I've never saw cash-in, no. Never saw cash-in.
Damn, that's what we gotta chase. We gotta chase one of them.
Io was running her ass off, nigga. Jesus.
And Bailey gets supporting actress for washing Asuka and Charlotte with that briefcase. Like she was going crazy on them, and it was so poetic too. Someone said like that was kind of telling of the passing of the guard from the previous generation to Io, like Bayley ensuring that the person that she'd been mentoring over the last year would get that moment. Like it was very poetic.
That's how you do it.
They got to get a dub at some point. Jesus.
Yeah.
Listen, man, that's how you do it. You know, sometimes it's not all about you.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to pass it to the future. Sometimes you got to, give back to the present. And Io Sky, I mean, after that match at Backlash earlier this year, and just kind of like the wave of momentum she's been kind of like rolling on, just to see her win this women's championship, I mean, it's incredible. And, I look forward to see what they do on SmackDown. SmackDown got a real healthy division, real healthy women's division.
Oh, no, they don't. No, they don't.
Oh, wait. What?
It's over.
Hashtag WWE treat women better or whatever the hell it is. I thought that was nuts. I saw that and I was like, yo, y'all are kind of dragging it. Like,
I mean, even worse is I'm so mad. Asuka never got a real title run. I'm like, what?
They've never seen The Rock. They've never seen The Rock.
I think Asuka understood earlier than a lot of people, Charlotte, that she's supposed to give back to the fucking division and not be at the top all the time.
Mm-hmm. Either way, we come to the main event. Tribal Combat. Undisputed WWE Universal Championship. Roman Reigns defending against Jey Uso. It also says, and the recognition of Tribal Chief in the NYU family. Okay, yeah, so it's bigger than it's bigger than rap. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. The question after the result of this, I have my thoughts on the match itself, which aren't good, to be honest with you. This match, I'm kind of glad now that we are past this Bloodline thing, because I don't know about the continued main events, like the Roman Reigns, Jey Usos kind of style main events. Because I mean,
you don't really do that with nobody else, but them.
Yeah, but it's like,
but I think didn't him and Sammy go 40?
Yeah, but
it was long.
I feel like there's constant moments within those things where I feel like with these kind of matches, really the only like last 5 to 7 minutes truly are like the shining moment of the match. So you kind of got to sit through a bunch of things. I'm actually going to get that door. So I'm going to ask you guys, how do you feel about the match? And do you think that the Bloodline story has jumped the shark?
I don't hate the match. I just don't think it was like, I think I expected more brutality. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Yeah, I think I expected more brutality, but the thing is, like, Roman is like, you can't mess up this face. You know what I'm saying? He's not trying to do any type of bleeding. I think that there were very long stretches of them standing around doing stuff. I went to the bathroom twice during this match. And
I almost fell asleep.
I was like, well, it was midnight for you. I had actually watched it. I ended up watching it at midnight because I got home from an event that I went to, and I finished watching the show. I had only watched Logan and Ricochet before I left my house, but and
you didn't see LA Knight win that Slim Jim Battle Royal?
I saw it that night. I saw that. But I think that in terms of like, just like, there's no question that these two guys are really good. I think it's just time for them to leave each other alone for a while. In terms of jumping the shark, that I feel like people don't actually understand what jumping the shark means. The term of that came from Happy Days, when Fonz literally jumped over a shark. I think it was like on a jet ski or something, and people named that as the point where the show started to go downhill. The only issue with that is that it took months for that to happen. It didn't happen immediately, and also
the shark or the Roman Reigns thing.
No, I mean, I'm talking about the show's quality dipping.
Okay.
The show that's what it's supposed to mean is that people use that as kind of a pejorative term when they don't even really know what that means. And I think that it's like unfair to say that this about a story that is ongoing 52 weeks out of the year, and most of the time the main person that's involved in it isn't even there, because if he disappears for another 3-4 weeks after this week, people are going to forget all about this. Let's just be clear. They're going to forget all about this shit that happened. And people love Roman. I think the jumping the shark moment they would have had to do that like a couple of months ago if they would have did the Jimmy turn then instead of
Jimmy joining them would have been jumping the shark. Jimmy jumping back in.
Exactly.
Jimmy actually.
And I'm glad you said that, because there's literally people who are looking at what they're saying about SmackDown with Jimmy joining the Bloodline again, and I'm like, don't fall for it. Like, literally, do not fall for what they're trying to do. This is so Roman can wave goodbye, and we get the Jimmy J thing that they wanted to do. I knew people should have put their red flags up when they had that interview with Ariel and they said they wanted to do this type of match. Because even I was saying on the show, I was like, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, you were skeptical. You were like, this doesn't make no sense. Why that happening?
When they said it, I was like, I was still skeptical. I'm going to sit here and admit I was wrong. But in the end, it does make sense why they did this in order to get them away from Roman and then have this happen. But in terms of jump the shark, I just don't. I don't think so, because that would we can't call that right now. How can you say a jump the shark? Does that mean that on Friday it's going to be whack? Like, it doesn't. That doesn't happen that quick.
I don't know what Friday is going to hold. To be honest with you, quiet as it kept, I know they put Roman Reigns on the graphic. I'm pretty sure he's not going to be there. He's just going to have to acknowledge he is.
Yeah, they said he's going to be there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You sure? All right.
Yeah,
all right.
There's been reports that he's going to be there.
All right. I wouldn't take the vacation off to jump back, but yeah. I think the ending, first of all, the match, to me, it's very rare. I agree with Brian Alvarez on a take on a match. It's very, very rare. However, I do not think this was the match that happened. I feel like you needed to sow in more doubt about the reign of Roman Reigns, in a sense. Like, yes. A little bit more doubt of that Jey Uso can actually win this thing, because essentially no one went in thinking that Jey Uso was going to fully win this. So I felt like there need to be more seeds of doubt. I feel like there needed to be a little bit more misnomers. I feel like they needed to be maybe Solo gets fed up and he walks out a little bit. Maybe something like that happens to kind of like sew in, like, okay, can Jey actually do this? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like I always use one of the greatest matches in Monday Night Raw history, Undertaker versus Jeff Hardy. Now, Jeff Hardy go ahead.
And you know what the doubt they tried to plant was the fact that he pinned them a month ago in a tag match. Yeah. And that ain't fooling me.
I was like, what? This is Roman Reigns, baby. Come on. He's been pinned for the first time in 1,300 days, but he ain't lost the title in over 13 something days or whatever the hell it is. But I felt like they should have been more doubt. The ending of this match, to be honest with you, I'm gonna wait for the Uso Penitentiary to roll by. But the ending of this match, I want to see how kind of like it evolves from there. But I don't have much faith currently in this iteration in a Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso match. I don't know what it's gonna deliver. I don't know what it's gonna give. It's going to give super kicks. I know you said it. Super kicks and chops.
They wanted to do it. My thing is this: regardless of how you feel about it, I think they're owed. They're owed this. I think that there's a genuine investment in Jey Uso. And you saw that on Saturday. There is a real investment in this guy, and I think there's an investment in whatever they have to do next with him. I just want it to be away from Roman. I think we said that last week. We're saying it right now. Mm-hmm. That the bloodline is effectively broken up. I don't know. I don't think Solo will get a match. I'm knocking on wood. I don't think he's going to get a match with Roman. But I think I don't think so. 40 minutes. I don't think Solo can go 40 minutes. That's
not a singles match.
Yeah, not a. Well, I will say that. And shout out to Novak. I do believe that they will probably try and do the 4-way
for sure.
I think that's going to happen.
Huh? We got Solo in every corner.
Yeah. I think there's one more in the chamber.
Because they have to follow up on Roman spearing Solo looking like he was ready to spike Roman asking him, yo, are you about to turn on me? Like, that was something that they planted there for a reason before Jay speared Roman through the barricade.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I think there's going to be some, whenever it happens, there's going to be some promo or something where Solo fully gets away. And I think AJ put it on Twitter, like a match for the lay. And then someone just breaks the lay and like that's over. Like whatever the case may be, they're absolutely going to cash in on that
I don't know.
four-way.
They're gonna break that lay. Don't break my lay on TV.
It looked cheap. It looked cheap. They could do that.
It's just not hard to break.
Hey
Yeah.
man, they threw that other lay in the press conference. Don't Armon, please tell me you try to snatch that up. I know that you know.
I ain't want to be thirsty because I knew I was on TV, man. Like I was trying to get the mic to ask a question, so I ain't want to be thirsty. And Paul clearly threw it at the woman next to me, but yeah, that was a cheap lay for sure.
But I think that like as far as like Jimmy and Jay's storyline and stuff like that, like a lot of people say like I don't get it, it makes no sense, and I'm like I think in terms of them, like what happened to they just probably want to do it. Like you can really tell that they wanted to do this. They've been talking about this. They've said it online. They've said it already. I think you just give that to them. They've main evented WrestleMania. They held the titles longer than anybody in the company, anybody in the fucking world. They've won
been a team longer than everybody fucking else at this point.
Exactly. Like they're as much as I selfishly want them to face these new teams. Come on, man. There's only but so many. They've already beaten all these teams that are trying to reheat right now. The Profits are getting reheated. You know, they have a bunch of teams that need to come up and actually look like they mean something. And putting them against the Usos is just not gonna work like that. And I think that it's let them have it, man. Like they've done everything, and I think the last thing that they have to do is to face each other. And if they're able to make something out of it, which I think that they will, then I enjoy it. I just hope that by the end of this year, we have the effective release of the Bloodline from everyone and everywhere that we have. I think they need to go on to different things. Like Roman for sure needs to start facing somebody else on SmackDown, because I think there's other people that need to have that match.
That's what Sheamus said.
Oh my god.
That's what Sheamus said. Sheamus was like, yo, this nigga need to start facing everybody on SmackDown.
Roman gonna say, well, AJ, come here.
AJ, Bobby. Yeah, I'm sorry, Sheamus. It's not happening.
Well, we're wrapping up SummerSlam. I do want to touch in on a few quick points on Raw and SmackDown. We can touch on this. We can kind of run through these quickly and wrap things up. SmackDown, see the new Profits. Are they called the Profits? The street business, Hurt Profits.
Profits.
It's a Hurt Profits.
It'd be cool if it was just the Prophet.
The Prophet? Okay.
Like the Prophet would be fire. Like because again, Bobby's the businessman and they're his prophet. You know what I'm saying?
He's
like
LA Reid with them, man.
Yeah.
He got them in 360s. You know what I'm saying?
I think this leads to do you think this leads to Bobby not wrestling as much?
Yeah, I do think so. Bobby's fake old. Like he looks great. Don't get me wrong. For 47 years old, this man looks fucking amazing. It made me look 20 years ago. I was like, that's how he looks like when he was young. He looks exactly the same now.
He arguably looks better.
Yeah, to be honest with you. So, they're still calling them the Street Profits on WWE.com. So they're the Street Profits. New look. The big in is big in for Dawkins. Shout out to you. Let's see. What else happened on SmackDown that was notable? Nothing. We can head to Raw. Yo, Finn's kind of tweaking, isn't he?
He is on his Mad King shit, bro.
He said anything you can say in front of.
That's fighting words, low key. Like
yeah, high key.
I've known JD for 20 years. Anything you can say in front of me, you can say in front of him.
The funniest shit was Damian saying, "Why is he even talking?"
Yo, Dame was not with the shits. You're crowding me right now.
I like that because I felt like that wasn't like in the script. You know what I'm saying? I feel like generally these guys are fully, I mean, it's to the level that they're at. They're fully within the role that they're playing. And this is kind of playing out very, very well. The intrigue is there. If we're moving on from the Bloodline, we have this Judgment Day storyline that's really, really heating up. But Finn is tweaking. We got JD McDonough. He's back in the fold. You know what I'm saying? We got Damian Priest, who, like, I guess Finn has kind of run out of championship opportunities, but Damian Priest has got the only championship opportunity that matters.
The way he was staring at that briefcase, I was like, yeah.
Bro, like I've been entertaining the idea in my head of Finn and Dame at some point having a match for that briefcase. The idea's in my head.
That would be the best thing they've done with that briefcase in about 5 years.
Mm-hmm. They took it off Otis. But
right. You know like Otis. I thought you and Otis had a truce.
Me and Dave, we got a truce. That was then, though. Go ahead, talk about Otis. Otis had a banner night. He had a hometown crowd. You know what I'm saying?
We're still on JD. We're still on JD.
Okay, we're still on JD. JD. Listen,
I think this feels like
he not even JD, and JD was like, "I'm the only JD that matters."
But again, you got Finn telling JD to go do his dirty work. He's his little pit bull. He's like he's in a spot that I wanted Pete Dunne to be in. I feel in terms of being like the enforcer for people, like the kind of ruthless guy. I think that he's in that spot for me right now. But I
really can talk more. I think he can talk a little bit better than.
They've changed him from the freaky weird guy to the freaky weird guy who is somehow connected to Finn Balor in some way.
Absolutely. It leads to initially we kick off the show. Cody and Seth, they're doing their little fake out moment thing. You know what I'm saying?
Magic again.
Every time.
Oh my God. When that moment finally comes, two baby faces who just genuinely hate each other going at it. Oh my God. I can't wait.
I feel like Cody's like, it is what it is at this point. Like I'm good. You know what I mean?
Hey, you can do the update on this man's situation.
I beat you 0-3, nigga. Like what did you do? Like they don't need. If I beat you 0-3 and one of those times I had a debilitating injury that I couldn't even move my arm for, there's no conversation. You weak as fuck. I don't care if you got the title.
So they try to get a 6-man tag, JD versus Sami Zayn, Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins. Sami Zayn is taken out by JD with this big fucking shit on his shoulder. I mean his elbow.
Like that, bro. I was about to throw up.
Bro, that shit was gross.
I was like, did that happen just now? But apparently it didn't. And that's why he's been wrestling with the elbow pad, apparently. So they swap out. My man Shinsuke was like, I'm free. And I'm like, Shinsuke, you just had a big ass match against big ass Bronson Reed.
Watch
Shinsuke was plotting.
He was hilarious last night. Listen, can I just say this right now? Triple H was in his fucking Duffy last night on Raw, bro.
No, he was. He was like, listen, it's time. Fake SummerSlam may be the night after SummerSlam may be the new reset.
It might be a generational reset. Like it was fire. Like there were just so much. The matches were good. The promos were good. The segments were good. We got returns. All of that shit. I thought it was a fantastic show.
I agree. Chad Gable got his moment.
Right? What do you feel about? How do you think Vince McMahon feels about seeing Shorty G in these moments?
Fuck him. Respect him. Fuck him. It's time,
he's probably saying, my back.
Bro,
that's what he's probably saying.
Chad has been one of the best performers of the last, couple years. Genuinely over with the crowd. Like that was a genuine moment. Yo, him grabbing his son and running around the ring, bro. Like that was some beautiful shit.
Hey, man. It happens to everybody. You there long enough, something go happen. Something go pop. Something go shake.
Yo, Meelz, people were giving you hate for that tweet as if you were hating on him too. I was like, I feel like you were acknowledging that he's just bit. Yeah, like someone quoted it as like, this is hate. I was like, I think Meelz just acknowledging like Chad Gable is so viable that he's given multiple moments and he's carrying them. Like he's doing his thing.
I gotta look at my quotes.
Can I bring up something? But I want to go back. How did y'all feel about Cody's acknowledge me line?
Oh, that was great. Oh,
that team.
Oh man, I can't wait.
When these two face off again, nuclear. Like it is going to go so crazy
especially because everything Cody said will be true at that point about him losing his tribe. So I'm wondering, damn, is Paul Heyman going to be there when Cody faces off against Roman again? Like that's where I'm going because everything Cody said in that promo has come true. Jimmy's gone. Jay's gone. Solo is still there, but Solo looks shaky. Like, what's Paul Heyman gonna do?
All he's gonna have to be is a Roman without a reign. You know what I'm saying? Listen, we gonna get it. It's gonna circle back. What else I want to talk about? Another major moment. LA Knight, Slim Jim Battle Royal winner. My son.
Point to the Slim Jims.
You point to the Slim Jim. You saw that shit? He was like, why ain't the pyro going off? But listen, by all things, huge pop. Major. He's getting huge pops. He was on Friday. He was on SummerSlam. He's on Monday. He's not even supposed to be on Monday. Going toe for toe, bar for bar with the Miz. Is this? I don't know if this is going to be a program. I mean, I could see it being a program. But he's on SmackDown, so I don't know. But how do we feel this LA Knight thing is actually going to happen now? Judging by the last couple shows, do you feel like this has any legs?
It has legs to it. The legs they're like someone who starts going to the gym and is squatting like 135, approaching 225. He's not quite a power lifter yet. He's not ready. He's not ready to put those 345s on each side yet. And I think Miz showed that. You know, like Meelz, you know, because you and I have our thing with Miz, I'll definitely give you hate. But Miz is the measuring stick. Cody had a brief thing with Miz when he came back. Logan and Miz, like Miz is the measuring stick. Like if you can handle yourself in the ring with Miz, then you know they're gonna push you a certain direction. And I think LA almost had it, and then he just completely flubbed. And it was very telling. It was something that we all kind of addressed, and it just reminded me, like, damn, like, you know, as over as he is, he's still got some refinement to do. And I think that's gonna make him get in his bag too. So I think it has some legs to it. He still needs time. I don't think a title should be put on him immediately. Yeah, that's really what it is. Like
people should not be surprised if he doesn't get a world title in the next 3 years.
I don't think he's going to get one at all.
That'd be fine. I'd be fine with that too. Intercontinental Championship seems fine. It'll look good on him.
Yeah.
I think ultimately they need a top mid-card guy for SmackDown, and they got one. I listen about the Miz thing. Miz, I don't even say that he was. I don't even want to say that.
Sorry.
I don't even want to say that Miz was targeting LA Knight because this was the same Miz promo that he does for every new guy.
He does it for everybody.
Everyone, and LA is the only one that did not take the bait, or rather did take the bait and got flustered. I'm like, you ain't never been flustered. Because it was Top Dollar you was going against.
Miz does this to everybody. Miz does this. He takes pretty much whatever the narrative is on the internet, which in this case is that he's an Attitude Era cosplayer, and he uses it against him. He did the same thing. Remember when everyone thought that Miz was racist because of the Big E thing? He's like, Big E's not aggressive enough. And everyone was like, Miz is racist. And it's like, what? How the fuck? He does this to everybody.
That was great. That was peak everything is racist era.
Oh my god!
On wrestling Twitter.
I was like, are you dead ass? This is talking smack. But you have to go out your way to watch it. But no, he does this to everybody. LA, listen, man.
No, fuck that. He made people cheer for Miz. Meelz. No one ever does that.
Yeah. That was crazy.
They're not even in like New York or like a city that's like Bizarro World. They're not even in Canada.
He hit the wrong chord for Miz because he says that he doesn't deserve to be where he's at. And you know that with Miz, you can't tell him shit about anybody. You don't deserve to be where
him safe. I was like,
he called him safe. He's like, what?
While you might be right, my brother, I don't know if this is gonna work out for you the way you think it is.
That's what almost got Daniel Bryan dropped. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Lucky you don't hit a man with a concussion. But you know, it's a LA Knight. I feel like jury's still out. It's been an interesting few days, but this is finally the moment that people have been asking for. So let's see if this is truly what they want. You know what I'm saying?
He ain't won it with Miz, and now he got to go to SmackDown with Grayson Waller. Pray for him. Pray for him. That insult shit ain't gonna work. Insult ain't gonna work. Listen, the 1997 jumped out, and people. The thing is that like you get the pop, and I hear you, Armon, about what you're saying about him. You know, it's gonna take time. You hear the pop, you get the chant. When the match goes longer than 5 minutes, what happens?
It's not hidden.
They start cheering for the other person. That Sheamus match, they was not. I wouldn't. You can hear shit, and it ain't because it was Sheamus. Sheamus is relatively popular. When he slipped on the top rope, they started cheering Sheamus. I said, "Oh Lord, end it, end it." I said, "This is crazy." Like he didn't even get a "you fucked up" chant. They just started. They was like, "Oh well, I forgot he was a jobber."
Hey man, and it slipped off in front of his coworkers.
He needs. He has to come up with a different promo cadence, bro. He has to. He has to, because they're gonna wake up and the adults are gonna stop cheering because it's all adults. I'm convinced it's all adults that are cheering for him. I'm convinced.
We shall see.
That's pretty much what I saw in Detroit. It was a lot of 20s, 30s-year-old people saying the yes. There was some kids too, but it was mostly adults.
Final little bit of news before we head out of here. Sonya Deville tore her ACL. Women's Tag Team Championships. The future of it, not clear. But it is clear that these belts are kind of cursed in some sort of way. But we'll see what happens moving on from here. But that's it for this week in wrestling, man. First of all, shout out to Armon, listen to Journeyman, I hope this is your last stop.
Did we touch on this? Did we touch on Becky and Eliminate?
Becky and where?
We should talk about that.
Oh, okay. Yes, please go ahead.
Becky comes out, cuts a promo. Zoe Stark comes out, which then leads out to Shayna Baszler, who's getting a babyface reaction for the first time in her career, which is cool. They have a match, Zoe versus Shayna, and again, masterful kind of creative for Zoe, giving her something to do every single week. I think that she looks great. She's still to me the best call up of everybody out of this last draft. Becky's drinking the lemonade in reference to a lemonade, making lemonade out of lemons thing that she posted, and then Triple H says it, and then people are like, Triple H and Becky are beefing. I think it's pretty clear that they're playing off of each other right now. She has she has to walk past him in Gorilla every week, right? Like, they see each other. Like,
bro, that plus what Rhea was tweeting the whole, like, I was like, this is a work. How are people getting so worked up over this? Like, they're working you. They're achieving what they want to by you reacting to this.
Hold on.
And there is Becky sipping on, what is that, Wade?
It's lemonade. You didn't get one? You've been a naughty boy. I'll tell you what, Becky, this is the best lemonade ever that you're making. There's no bitterness at all.
I fell out.
Thank you, Wade. Wade on Raw is amazing. I'm so hyped for this.
They are clearly making...
We didn't talk about that.
Oh, yeah, the announcer shakeup. It's on the notes.
Raw is so much better now.
My nigga. Look, man. Look. Oh, my God.
I'm sorry. I don't know what SmackDown's going to hold. I don't know. Daddy's there, though.
I mean, hey, it's one less hour, so we got to hear KP for one less hour, and it's two other people who are competent who can do it. So
you'll barely be hearing KP. He'll be the one mainly asking, "Hey, Corey, how does it feel?" When he'll mainly be doing that. Corey, no DQ matches before. How do you feel about like that? That's mostly what he's gonna do.
Oh,
the Almighty is here. Wow.
Cut to the progressive flow of the night. That's what he's gonna be cutting to.
I know you guys are very down on KP, but I have to give like the probably truthful but bad news about this whole situation. They see a lot in him. He's young. He's relatively charismatic in most instances. There are moments where I can see why people would like him or why they like him, because even when he goes back and forth with Corey, there's some moments where I'm like, okay, he kind of got Corey there. They're few and far between, but it happens. putting him with Michael Cole is the best thing that could happen, because then he can learn on the job in a way where Michael Cole won't just be yelling at him on the earpiece. If it was the last regime, I'm pretty sure he probably would have been let go already. But I think that there's some value in not giving up on someone and letting that person know that you're not gonna give up on them. So like, I'm going to let this play out with KP and see where we land next year. But I definitely think that they are very set on saying, okay, Vic is our NXT guy with Booker, because they work. Yeah. And I don't think they should shake that up. But KP is somebody that they want to be in that position.
For sure. I mean, I think, while he may not be, and I think he has a high standard to meet with Michael Cole, with Corey Graves, with who we've seen in the past. He's relatively harmless. He just doesn't necessarily give what we've heard from the better announcers in the past. But I definitely think he can get to that point with more time. So yeah, I'm definitely willing to lipo it, but Raw for sure felt a lot better with Wade and Michael Cole.
Cole was talking all types of shit on Monday. I was like, bro, he's having a blast. But again, it's been
that's no day. I was like, yeah, someone excited.
It's been almost like 10 years or something, or some years since he's been on Raw. Like, it's been a really long time since he's been on Mondays. And no, it's not been 10 years. It's been about maybe like 6 or 7, I think, because he was up there when Renee was commentating, right?
Yeah.
Or am I capping? Sure. I think so. But
no, he was there. He was the parent. He was like the parent driving the car and the 2 kids in the back seat fucking around.
Yeah,
like, yeah, that was it.
And again, like I think Raw sounded better. I think things got over. I think that's the one thing that Cole brought to the show on Monday. He got things over. He made things matter. And I think that's what KP needs to learn how to do, is to make these moments matter, because it can't be Corey all the time, because Corey was up there having 3 jobs every Monday. And I know that shit was tiring for him. So it has to be good to not only be back with Michael Cole every week. I'm pretty sure he's super excited about that, but for KP to learn, from the learning tree. And I'm just praying that Corey lays off, like don't do the Byron shit to KP on that 3-man booth, yo. Just keep it to a minimum. I think the one thing about Corey that I hate is how brutal he gets, and he just harps on people for so long and makes fun of them. I don't like that. That's not fun to listen to.
Yeah, Cole actually didn't come back to SmackDown until 2019. Crazy enough.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while. But okay, that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So thank you guys for tuning in this week. Of course, you can continue to support the A Show in all of its endeavors. Patreon.com/the A Show RNC. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram and check out our adventures in Detroit. Shout out to that. Donnie Fails went to Detroit along with everybody else, and he made sure to took some made a little vlog about his experience in Detroit. So make sure you guys check that out on our Instagram. Armon, of course, is always a pleasure. Great having you on the show.
Always a good time to come on the A Show. I also want to shout out some of the black wrestlers that I was able to connect with. Omos, while he's huge, one of the nicest guys I've ever met. He was super cool. Trick Williams, super cool. Lash Legend, super cool. Sheamus was nice. Like, Damian Priest was lit. I don't know if I should be saying this. Damian Priest was mad lit. But a really, really great weekend. And yeah, I'm glad that I could come in and kind of share some of that with you. I got more stories. We could, I don't know, however we're gonna share them, but yeah, it was a great time, and I thank y'all for letting me come in and tell that.
I love it. Thank you guys for tuning in, and again, we'll be back next week with more of the A Show. Take care.